3 days later. 3 days later. 3 days later.
Hi, I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have: patience. Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
Thunderbolts is now new Avengers. We have both seen it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. This is like the most enjoyable Marvel movie I have seen in a while. I think that the fan reaction's been pretty positive, so I'm glad about that.
Full disclosure, I was happy that I didn't pay for a movie ticket to see it, because I think if I had, I would have been extremely pissed. I'm probably on the opposite side of where you are. I can't say it was a horrible movie. It definitely wasn't like feeling like an MCU movie necessarily. They obviously went for something a little different.
Ha ha ha! Yes.
It's funny you say that it didn't feel like MCU, because I feel like that was what was so refreshing about this movie, is that it wasn't just sticking to the superhero formula. You know, we had similar beats, but the whole time they're acknowledging, and they really do hammer home the fact that they're the D-list characters, they're the losers. No one cares about these characters, and it really does work well for them, because there's no expectations going into this that they're going to save the world. It was the Thunderbolts, the mental health movie. I was really worried about that at first, but I think that they did it in a way that people can find relatable and kind of see themselves in. I'll say it kind of fell apart at the third act for me. I was missing my big fight scene, but all we got is a hug.
We've actually been talking about this movie for a while, so much that my code word for it, or my title for it, was Black Widow 2 Electric Boogaloo. It was a sequel to Black Widow. You know, we had a couple characters come over from that movie, Alexei and Yelena, and they were kind of like, if you want to call it, the heart of the movie, along with Bob, who, you know, is Sentry. I felt like there were decent ingredients in this movie. Sometimes when you have the same ingredients for something great, it doesn't work out for some reason. We made a cake that didn't bake. I'm not sure what the measure of success was. We introduced Sentry to the MCU, who is a character that is all-powerful, but now he can't really change into that character because he'll turn into the Void. So he's basically a break-in case of emergency type of character.
Hey, big guy, the sun's getting real low.
I'm not sure what kind of stakes there were that we actually had in this movie, because other than the guys that Yelena killed at the beginning of the movie, I don't know that anybody died. People went to the Void, but they came back.
The Taskmaster.
Thank you for bringing that up. You feel like that was handled?
It was really quick. They didn't need to focus on it. And I'm kind of glad about that, because they fumbled that character in the Black Widow movie. I was fine with it. I'm sure that they'll try again in the future. We knew that these characters were going to survive because of the chairs. So there weren't really that many stakes at the end of the day.
I didn't know how I felt when I was watching the movie. I was like, damn, that was quick. And then, you know, she does get mentioned a couple times after that, but they pretty much just move on. If you were somebody that watched Black Widow, that character was Dreykov's daughter, and it was a big point of contention for Black Widow. She felt a lot of guilt for what happened to that woman. It was not a great move for them to make her the Taskmaster. Now they can actually turn the Taskmaster maybe into a better character. It was just so weird that they just killed her and, you know, moved on. It's not a big deal, but it was kind of like a sticking point for me. One big sticking point for me other than that was Bucky. I've always enjoyed Bucky as a character. I wish they would have made him Captain America. He didn't end up necessarily being the leader of this team. How did you feel about how this movie treated Bucky?
I honestly appreciated how they treated him, because he wasn't the leader. He was kind of the B-plot for a lot of it, you know, working behind the scenes to set things up, doing his congressman stuff, which is was still so weird to me. I think it was more Alexei that was like, okay, you guys, we want to be a team. We're going to be the Thunderbolts. But Bucky was there to be one of the older Avengers, you know, instead of the new Avengers. He's just getting them to work together. But I think also it was Yelena who was really the leader. This movie focused on her. But they didn't overuse Bucky. He came in, saved them when they were in the limo and being chased. It was fun to see him, but they didn't lean on him too much, which I think was kind of smart because you are setting up the new Avengers. I don't think that you can have him lead the new Avengers because he's not new.
I think that he's an asset to the MCU, so they need to use him as such. I don't know why Yelena is necessarily the leader. I like Florence Pugh. I don't have a problem with her acting. It just doesn't make sense in the MCU for me that she would be the leader of this team. She still reads as childish. They got their asses kicked by Sentry. She kind of had a tantrum, and Alexei had to go chasing after her. She eventually got her shit together. Why am I supposed to buy her as the leader of this team? It doesn't make sense. I really would rather have had a movie with Red Guardian, Bucky, and Walker trying to work out their dynamic. They're all receivers of the super serum, and they're trying to work through their stuff.
I did really appreciate the characters that you had mentioned, but I think that the addition of Yelena did give them, and Bob did give them people to jump off of. I think that Yelena was kind of put forth as the leader mostly because she had that connection to Bob. She was able to talk him down. She was really able to take the reins in that situation.
Sun's getting real low.
The introduction of Bob as a character, you know, just that alone, I really didn't have a problem with it. But, I mean, he was so easily led by Elaine from Seinfeld. I actually was saying to people that I felt like maybe Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2 would have been a better in that role of leading the CIA and trying to put together this Thunderbolts team. And then I found out later he actually was a part of the Thunderbolts for my husband. So I don't know why I had that thought while I was watching the movie, but just Valentina, she is totally a weak link. I also missed Zemo because when they first announced this movie, I thought he was going to be in it. That's a disappointment for me. Back to the Void. Yeah, it basically was a place where everything fell apart and we got the hugs. If we're talking about mental health as a thing that's being pushed in this movie, it feels rather surface level for me. These people, they kill people for a living. That's their job. Let's not forget that. So yes, I can totally buy that people that kill people for a living are sad and don't have really fulfilling lives. Take the money that you've earned from being an assassin and go live a different type of life. I'm not sure why people necessarily are taken in by this, but I mean, that's fine. If people found joy or enjoyment, I'm totally fine with that. But I think that the box office is kind of something that they need to pay attention to with this because the MCU is like on its last legs. I'm not sure how much the new Avengers does to bring the MCU back.
This movie doesn't erase the failures of most things since Endgame, but it does give me hope. This landed very well for me, but it still doesn't make everything better. But I am very happy to have an MCU movie that felt good and also didn't feel like every other Marvel movie that I have seen in the past few years.
By the time we got to the Avengers movie with Joss Whedon, we'd already been introduced to all of these characters in maybe one or two movies prior to the Avengers. We didn't have Disney Plus back then. Then it felt like there were actual stakes by the time that we got to the Avengers. To call this team the new Avengers, it feels lazy to me. The post-credit scene where we find out that Sam is actually suing because of like a trademark infringement type of thing because he has his own Avengers team. And then Alexei's like, why don't we be Avengers with a Z at the end? It's like, really? You know, why don't we just have each of these teams do like a Civil War parody?
I think that they're gonna end up teaming up. So this all feels very knockoff spoof Civil War because I feel like we know what's gonna happen. And yeah, they're just setting up this infighting when that's not really what they need to be focusing on. you guys. It's like, really? This is what we're doing? So they definitely are the new Avengers. They're not what they used to be. They don't make them the same anymore.
Steve Rogers would be proud of all of this, I'm sure.
Be sure to like and subscribe and let us know what you thought in the comments below.
Remember, I can do this all night.